are listening to You've Got 5 Options show,
where every week Marta and Anna abandon their 5 children, 2 partners, and 1 cat to make a show especially for you.
An artist, a challenge, a bullshit, a wisdom, and a surprise. Tune in and feel the magic of 5.
Let's jump into the bullshit of the week and see what we got there.
Say what? Boo, 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 boo. It's bullshit of the week.
So this time for bullshit of the week, we have chosen a couple of bits and pieces from the audience, also known as the volunteers. So first volunteer that will talk about bullshits that she has encountered or thought about on TEDx Aarhus is none other than Kathy Perez.
Let's see what Kathy has to say.
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit when people, because the third talk talks about fashion. Okay, fast fashion. Okay, that's something that.
Here it's allowed. We are not editing out, so.
Yeah. So, and sometimes people think that it's not relatable to them. That it's so far out. Like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm doing my everyday life, buying stuff from this institution like H&M and buying a lot of stuff and throwing a lot. And I've seen and experienced that here in Denmark, where people are very they buy in bulk and then they throw away in bulk. And I think it's bullshit to think that you're not part of that. And watching this woman talk about what they're doing to actually create more awareness into this is also like something that I was like, yes, that's right. It's bullshit when people think it doesn't affect them, because we only have one planet and we have to be in here. It's our home and we have to do something. So when people just say, oh, it's like, for example, global warming or fast fashion, now it doesn't affect. No, it's bullshit that they don't believe in this.
Kathy was referring to a speech by Maria where she was talking about virtual reality and storytelling, and she actually was showing us some slides from one of the bits they created about the sweatshops, right?
Yes.
Yes, so I think that inspired Kathy to think about, this type of a bullshit. And it's a bullshit, I guess, to think that things don't concern us at all, because we are living in our little home, apartment, or whatever reality, and Kathy thinks it's a bullshit.
Yeah, she brought a really good point. Being there on the spot, being just asked what's the biggest bullshit, she pulled it off.
Yes, so now we will hear from Joey. Joey have a very special place in our heart, because from all the volunteers, he actually have volunteered.
Yes, so when I think of bullshit, this is going to come across harsh, but sometimes there's a perception that the whole TED brand is bullshit. It's a very made up, polished up, shiny experience that's almost inhuman when you watch it online or on TV or something like that. Being at an event live today shows you that it is bullshit and it isn't bullshit. It's authentic people. It's authentic experiences. You can see the non-edited experience live on stage. Everyone's nervous at first. That's my eye from being involved in the past. You can see the body language. The first minute or so of a talk is always a little more tense. And it's authentic, it's real. It means this is a real person talking to us about real experiences, nothing that's manufactured. But then after about a minute, the training that they're given takes over, and they seem a lot more comfortable on stage and with the audience as a whole.
So just to give you a bit of a background, Joey was actually in an organizer team back, I think, last year, and he was involved in TEDx Aarhus some years prior to this event. That was the first event when he was not in organizing it, right, Marta?
Yeah, he was a coach for the speakers previously. So this time it was really great to talk to him and to have an insight from someone that was on the other side.
Exactly. So, yeah, and I can also confirm that what we see on YouTube, it's a quite a different experience than what we see when we are live and watching speakers on the stage. Let's just say that TEDx is doing some editing. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting when you go to the live show and you see that those people, they actually can get stuck sometimes and they forget, they don't know how to continue. And then suddenly there is a hand coming out from behind the curtain with a text. Yeah. I definitely would not have imagined that this is happening just looking at the videos. Mm-hmm. Where it just looks like these are like world-class speakers, each and every single one of them having absolutely no hiccups whatsoever. So that's the magic of the live event, where you can sense an absolutely different level of energy.
That is absolutely true, and actually people cheering and trying to encourage the speakers to keep on going, because, sometimes you can just like completely lose it. You tripped once and you don't know what to say, and then you can freeze, and that's very human. And then people, just like, applauding you to keep on going, that you will not see on YouTube.
No, the audience is wow.
Yeah, and you will not see it on YouTube literally, because there is no footage allowed. People are not... I think the only people who can film TEDx events are TEDx people and, of course, us, because we were invited. Well, no bragging.
Well, we couldn't actually record the speeches.
True. That we couldn't. No, that is only TEDx. But now we will have two back-to-back clips where we will hear from John, Arne, and Annette, and they will talk about bullshits that they were inspired to think about after hearing certain speeches from the speakers.
We think Denmark is known for having a large welfare state, challenging that and saying, are we actually doing the best? Yeah. And I mean, the speaker had been, let's say, inside the system himself to experience it from the inside and maybe see how we can improve that system. Yeah. So that was very encouraging.
I actually have to say that personally speaking, that speech about the entire system was very eye-opening. It was something like, wow, the most expensive social system in Europe at least, and such a relatively, I would say, poor results. It's really something that made me think as well.
That it's something that's just accepted that Denmark has that system.
Yeah.
But let's take a step back and see, okay, maybe we can use those resources in a more efficient way and actually give the people that require it the best support that we can.
Well, the social entrepreneur definitely points out the system, how the systems keep people down instead of letting people develop and come back into society by putting them into some frames and put them into a jail, so to speak, instead of letting them free. So I'm looking very much to hear about the results of his experiment that can bring some data that might change legislation in Denmark.
Okay, thank you. Annette, any bullshits from your side?
Well, I don't know if it's bullshit, but there was also one of the persons on the scene. She's talked a lot about that we should learn from the past, but do we actually do that, or do we do it enough, and do we actually change our behavior based on what we have seen? So I think that was kind of bullshit, but she also said it. But I think it's actually good to remember it, because it's so we quite often say that, we have to learn from the past, but actually we don't do it.
Yeah, I think that actually Stefan, with his speech about welfare system in Denmark and how ineffective it is comparing to the money spent on it, made quite an impact on people.
Yes, he was definitely one of those speakers with quite that we have noticed then when we were interviewing the audience, mentioned quite a lot.
Yes, I think it was him and also Bryce, and I think it's because Bryce has surprised people with the dancing. But Arne even compared it to jail. That was cool, Arne. And then Annette also referred to the speech by Vanna where she was talking about how can we learn from a past, and that is coming from archaeologists. So I think it's quite a relevant tip. So guys, if you are still wondering what those speeches were because you haven't seen them, I would strongly recommend you to find or be persistent in waiting for the speeches that will be on YouTube, released by TEDx Crew. And you can also go back for more information to the first episode about TEDx and backstage stories that we have released a week ago, because there you can also hear from the speakers themselves. And the last clip regarding the bullshit is Jerry. And let's hope that Jerry will this time find a bullshit that is a bullshit.
The whole thing about, environment and sustainability, leading back to like sweatshops with the VR experience, as well as the waste food program and all that. I think a lot of things comes back to environment and how we treat our country and the world and the globe. And I'm like, maybe I just think to myself sometimes, like, yeah, I'm really economical friendly. Like I take care of the environment. I'm really friendly in terms of all that. But maybe I'm bullshitting myself, because in terms of buying clothes and stuff, I can like, yeah, I need that as well. Like, so maybe I'm bullshitting myself to think that I need more than I actually need. So that's maybe something that I'm going to be thinking a bit more. And I stood down at the man stand with the VR experience the whole day during the activity. So I got to talk with a lot of interesting people, and they all had the same feeling that this really sparked some thoughts in terms of, okay, maybe we're bullshitting ourselves. Maybe you should think a bit more about like buying clothes from manufactured in sweatshops and whatever. So I think that's what I'm going to take with me from here.
So Jerry has asked a very Shakespearean question: are we bullshitting ourselves? And I think this is actually a perfect summary of this segment, don't you think, Marta?
Yes, Kathy started with this, Jeremy ended in a beautiful way.
So yeah, that was all about the bullshit. Let's jump to the wisdom.
A super wise wisdom of the week.
So first we have Cynthia, who was yet another volunteer that we have found on the event, and she will talk about the importance of sharing stuff about the mental health.
There were some very interesting things about mental health. And I know it's a hot topic right now, but showing vulnerability, showing that, we are all battling certain things, and be more open about it so we can be like stronger together.
So Marta, I think she's referring to Cecilia's speech, right?
I'm actually not sure if she's referring to Sine's or Cecilia's speech.
Sine, okay. Yeah, it could be. You are right. Because both of the ladies were talking about mental health, but from a different perspective. Sina was talking about emotionally or psychologically abusive relationships from a standpoint of her as a therapist and psychotherapist. And Cecilia was sharing her own personal story about her battle with mental health issues. So yeah, there were actually two speeches touching upon that.
But I think it's quite a fair point to assume that she was talking about Cecilia, because you are not there. That means that it's the last segment
yes,
that we are talking about. And she was talking about the importance and vulnerability in sharing that. And that was definitely Cecilia, who was really vulnerably sharing her story.
Yep. And I haven't seen that. I have to wait for the YouTube, like most of you guys. So let's see what Christina had to share regarding the wisdoms.
Well, I think you can find wisdom in each keynote that was heard today, and I think you can find inspiration from each of them in a different way. But I think the most important that they wanted to say is you have to question things and stop sometimes and look at yourself and feel yourself, and before you do, if you're stuck or...
Interesting point about looking into yourself when you are stuck. I'm thinking if that was also inspired by Bryce or just in general. No, was Bryce already... I think, yes, we interviewed Christina after Bryce was having his speech, because he was talking about finding your own groove and finding yourself. Right?
Yes.
So I'm wondering if Christina is referring to this one, but all in all, she said that in all the keynote speeches you can find some wisdom, and that is definitely true. Let's see what Kathy had to share.
These three speeches, of course, we started with Reimagine. We was talking about this snake bite cure for those that are victims of snake bites. That is fantastic. The second one was Relate, which I was able to relate in a way that I have seen how abusive relationships have actually destroyed people. People that I know who were into abusive relationship, and sometimes they just think that they're not into it, they're not in part of it, but you've seen how it destroyed them. And for me, that was brave and raw, and I love it. And I also love that she stood in there and saying all these truths about herself, that I would not allow anyone to disrespect me, belittle me. And I was just like, this inner cheerleader in me was like, yes, you're right. And if only I could hug her like during her talk. But yeah, that was something relatable. And the third one also, that's about fast fashion and VR. Awesome talk. But the second one was something that I truly believe in, and because I've seen how it ruined people, and that was relatable to me.
I think Kathy was referring, of course, to all the three speeches from the first segment, but the one that impressed her the most was a speech by Sina about emotionally abusive relationships, and that was the powerful one, definitely.
Yeah, so that's why before when the question was like about mental health, because that one actually also really related to mental health.
That is correct. And now we will play the last wisdom clip for today from Anne, the head organizer, and we will see, Marta, if this is what you meant at the beginning of the show.
What was the biggest wisdom that you have learned in that process? Because of course the speakers will bring a lot of wisdom with them through their speeches, but what was the biggest wisdom for you as you were organizing that event?
I think for me it was the amazing things you can achieve when you work with volunteers. Volunteers don't get paid, and that's not because they aren't worth anything. It's actually because they're priceless. And I think that's the wisdom that I learned, that you can't put a price on volunteers, because it's their dedication that drives all this.
And that's amazing, because many people say, when you don't pay for something, it's not as worthy, people will not be as dedicated, they will not be as committed. Is that something that you could say it's a bullshit?
That is absolutely bullshit.
Smooth transition.
Yeah, that is bullshit. Like all the volunteers we have are super dedicated, and honestly, they have not slept in the past 2 weeks. They've been working so hard, and you can't do something like this where you have to work for a whole year if you're not dedicated, and they absolutely are.
So, Marta, is this what you were referring to? Did I fulfill your expectations?
Yes, that was really what I was referring to, and that part I really think is amazing and really worthwhile noticing, and that's a true wisdom that volunteers are priceless.
I completely agree. And with this very wise accent, we will finish this segment to jump into the left field.
G. From the left field.
Okay, Marta, so this is a clip called A Very Curious Case of Adam, and I believe you know something about this.
Yeah, that was completely unplanned. That was from the left field for me as well. It was actually Jerry who suddenly brought Adam, and he said, you have to talk to this guy. You really, really have to talk to this guy. So I just jumped on and talked to the guy.
And let's hear what he had to say.
We have a surprise for you guys, something extra. You can say something from the left field. We actually found out that we have quite a special person here with us, someone that keeps on coming back all the way from Greece to see TEDx Aarhus every year. Hello, Adam.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So I just have to ask, what makes you come back here to Aarhus every year?
Okay, so it basically all began Ever since I was like 16 years old, I was a huge TED Talk fan. I was watching a lot of online videos at the time. And then I moved to Denmark from Greece at the age of 18 for study-related purposes. And that was actually August 2016 when TEDx Aarhus initially started. And I just knew I had to get there, so I just pressed the button, buy the ticket, and I came here for the first time in 2016. And after that, I just kept coming back. The part where it actually gets interesting, it was when I had a lot of friends of mine from Horsens, which is where I'm studying, convinced about TEDx Aarhus, so we were coming back here together until the point where I was heading back to Greece for the 5th semester, which was my internship, and I got hired by a company in Athens. So I got teased a lot by my friends that I would not be here at the time where the TEDx Aarhus would be back in October in 2019. So I just had to prove them wrong. So I just hopped on the plane, came here for the weekend, and I was present then. And now I'm actually studying in Prague, and I couldn't let the tradition go. So I just had to come back here again. So flew here for the weekend just for this event.
So in your face, student friends of Adam, he's really dedicated. Will we see you here next year?
Definitely. I'm gonna be here every year as long as this is a thing, no matter where I am.
Okay, great. So since you have agreed to talk to us, I do need to ask you that question. What was the biggest surprise? You have been here every time. Exactly. So what was the biggest surprise this time in this TEDx?
Surprise. I would say the engagement when it comes to virtual reality, which comes to be a huge part in our world, as well as the new venue, which actually happens to be a lot of fun as well. I was convinced, personally I was convinced to our old venue in Tivoli, but I would not have any problems with the event being hosted next year here, because I do love it and it's great.
Marta.
That was a very loving in your face, I wanted to say. You can clearly see that I have been there. It's been a long day.
Yes.
And I think I have already picked up a glass of wine at that point
Could be. In your face. Adam's friends. But I enjoyed it a lot. It's actually quite amazing. The guy keeps on coming back to TEDx Aarhus, and he will keep on coming back until this thing is still a thing. So I think that we will now jump to the second part of the bloopers.
Hello again, yet another stalked human being that has totally voluntarily agreed to be interviewed by us here today.
He just came to us.
Totally just ran after us and asked if he could be interviewed by us. Hello, tell us your name, please.
Hi, I'm Joey.
Hi, Joey. How are you doing? You get that a lot.
That's new one.
We are very creative at the radio, so. Yeah? Kathy?
And last thing, I've never said bullshit so many times in 1 minute in my whole life. So really, wow.
We are glad to inspire.
Thank you, guys.
That's what we do. We inspire
Welcome
people.
And thank you.
I'm happy that she said no to me in the past. That's something you don't hear usually from a man. But okay, so tell me.
Hello, everyone. We are now hunting the audience, trying to find someone that would like to talk to us. And one of the first persons we've met is Kathy, who has already been with us. And you've got 5 options, not only once, but twice.
Yes.
Hello, Kathy.
Hi, it's so nice to see you girls here.
It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you
and
again.
Kathy has a little...
Growing belly?
Yes, so she actually smuggled an extra person for TEDx or...
Illegal, totally illegal.
I trust her. She'll be great.
Okay, so Cynthia, we will find you afterwards and follow up with you if you actually liked the speech and if it fulfilled the expectations. No pressure, Sarah, no pressure, TEDx, or this should be a hashtag, no pressure, TEDx Aarhus. Yeah, Marta, so there was a little bit more of bloopers this time. I think my favorite ones were the ones with Joey, especially the, how you doing?
I'm like,
I would like to say that this was the a very early morning, so Marta has no excuses with I have drank a bit of wine, because I know she didn't. But if you want to see those bloopers, then you definitely need to check our website and check the video, because this is an entire TV program. If you are listening to us, I hope that at least partially your ears were satisfied. And we will end up with reflections, because we have actually recorded reflections at the end of our duty on TEDx Aarhus. And I think they will speak louder than what we will say 3 months after. So let's hit it.
Hi guys, I am here alone, and that is because I have to go home. As you probably remember from all of our episodes, I have a little baby home, so I was able to catch some of the TEDx Aarhus today, but not the whole. So Marta, good luck. You will be doing the last interviews on your own. And we agreed that we will be sharing our experiences from today's day. And guys, I have to tell you, interviewing people, it's not an easy thing at all. We had to run and find the speakers and find the people from the audience that are willing to talk to us, because not everyone is able just to make an interview on a go. And we were running around, and I think we pulled it off. But I have to say, there is a lot of adrenaline, a lot of stress. There will be a lot of hiccups in this program. Because we are not in the studio, so of course the environment is different. But I'm super grateful and I'm super excited, and even if I have to go home, I am still very, very happy that I was here for most part of the day. And Marta asked me to share some bullshit from myself about the TEDx Aarhus. So I cannot share any bullshit about the event, because the event is truly fantastic. But I will tell you that there is one bullshit that I have today encountered, and let's say it turned into wisdom. A week ago, I thought I won't be able to do it. I have a 3-month-old baby, and she's home now with her dad and with my mother, but it's a whole day event, and I was thinking, it's not possible to pull it off. I cannot just disappear for the entire day. And my little daughter right now is actually teething, so her teeth are coming out and she's crying. And I was like, I think I will just resign from this and I will not do it. But with a fantastic support of my family and fantastic support from Marta, who is my co-host, I have managed to come here and do the job, at least most of the time. So that is the biggest bullshit I would like to present to you, that actually you can do it. Sometimes something can seem to be impossible and so scary, but you can do it if you will find the right people to support you, and if you will find just a bit of determination and stamina in yourself. So I'm grateful for this experience. I'm happy that I did it. And that's all, guys. I really hope you are enjoying this. And Marta, good luck, because now you're on your own. And yeah, that was Anna from You've Got 5 Options.
Okay, guys, I have been here from 9 in the morning and now it's 7:30 p.m. I have experienced 11 amazing speeches. I have talked to so many people today. It has been an amazing journey. I have learned so much, and I definitely myself have quite a lot of wisdom to bring with me home. Quite some surprises, a lot of bullshits that point right back at me. So thank you so much for listening to us, and stay tuned.
So Marta, I have to ask you, what was your biggest bullshit that you have discovered? Because I was actually sharing and caring like Joey.
Yeah, you can see the difference from you talking when there is still some light on the background. You were living when we still had like the sunlight.
Yeah.
And I was living quite some more hours after that. And you could see that I was not as sherry as you were. Yeah, I was pretty exhausted at that point of time already. And the bullshits that I've mentioned there pointing back at me were actually very aligned with what Kathy and Jerry have talked about, meaning the like how sustainable are we?
And that was a very good bullshit to ponder about. That is correct. So I guess that this is how we will close this show. Marta, thank you for being there with me on TEDx Aarhus 2019.
Yeah, I'm really grateful, Anna, for that. And for you guys, there was so much drama happening before we even got there. And how many cameramen we have almost got and then lost and then got again and then lost and then got again. And finally it ended up with Lasse, who did a fantastic job.
Thank you, Lasse, really. You saved us.
You saved us, you supported us, and we are really grateful.
Okay, guys, stay tuned and goodbye.
Bye.